right, Malpal. We've got to get... This is on me, but we have to get some sort of intro, like crazy flame intro into this next segment. But
yeah,
we're going to go ahead and recap week 5 of the college football weekend. Tons of questions to get to. We revisit the burning questions that we answer every single Thursday, and this time we get to see how right Mr. Greg Tepper was. So,
or wrong,
which we prefer that. But
we prefer wrong.
Malpal, what is our first question?
Let me go ahead and get it up there. It is, what % chance do you give SFA to knock off the #1 team in the nation? Now it's at 0%.
0% chance, but boy, howdy, it almost happened.
That was a game.
It really was. That was our
Good
small
Lord.
college game of the week. Our college football insider, Mike Craven, was down there to witness it down there in the Piney Woods. And you know what? 21-20, Sam Houston State ends up creeping out over SFA, and man, they almost had him. Now, let's go ahead and throw this out there. Sam Houston was without their quarterback and their kicker, which played a factor at the end of the game there. And overall, I think Craven hit the nail on the head when he said that Sam Houston State looked like a team that just knows how to win, and SFA wasn't quite there yet.
I think I mentioned, too, that good teams, good championship caliber teams like Sam Houston State, they're going to find a way to win, and they had their starting quarterback out, Eric Schmidt, and they had to throw in Keegan Shoemaker, but they found a way to win. He found a way to win, and that's the difference between a really good team and a good team.
Right,
know?
And that was the thing. Yeah. At one point, I mean, SFA, Kobe Carthel, he had his boys fired up. You could see that on Twitter all week. He had his boys fired up. They had a lead right there, about a 14-point lead, and then it was, in the fourth quarter when Sam Houston really started to creep back, you just kind of saw the momentum in the stadium shift. It was like, oh man, we had them, and I just don't know if we can hold them off. So a little bit more work to do there with SFA, but they almost had them, and just a really good win by Sam Houston. If they're going to continue to show that they're the #1 team in this realm of football, it takes games like that, being without your starting quarterback and pulling it off against a really good SFA team. Right. So just a little unmatched in a program that is used to winning there.
And we were talking about it too. Like SFA was in control for 90% of that game, but when it really mattered, they just couldn't hold on. And they were down by, Sam Houston State was down by 14 points in the fourth quarter. So they came back from a 14-point deficit in the fourth quarter to beat SFA.
Absolutely. What's next?
Let me pull it up. Sorry about that.
No, all good.
We've got... What's the key matchup for UTEP to move to 4-1? How about them Miners? Let me go ahead and throw that out there.
Miners, man, can you hear the bowling pins off in the distance?
Yes, I can.
This might be a Miner squad that, man, this is really looking to the point where they might end up going bowling. They've got Southern Miss left on their schedule. They have Rice left on their schedule. There's a good possibility.
UNT?
Pain. Yes. Oh. No, absolutely. They take on UNT, and right now they're rolling. I mean, here's the thing. They go in against what is a butt team in ODU, 28-21, and it looked a little bit dicey. They were not leading heading into the fourth. ODU kind of had their number there, and we're thinking, come on, guys, like you can't. If you're going to have an opportunity to make some noise in Conference USA, this was a game that they had to go out there and win, and they did. And that's something from a UTEP team that we haven't seen in forever. They didn't hang their head down. Gavin Hardison he did what they needed him to do. 10 for 20, 191 yards, 2 touchdowns. Him and Jacob Cowing were really connecting on those crucial long plays that they needed. I mean, Cowing had 29.5 yards per reception. He only had 4 of them, but it shows that when they needed someone to step up, they had the guys to do it, and that is something we haven't seen from a Miner squad in so long.
And I think Tepper had mentioned this too when you guys first brought in this question, that one of the key matchups to winning this game was stopping the run, and that's exactly what they did. They held ODU to 88 rushing yards. So.
And that's huge because ODU has 0 passing attack.
Game.
Like 0. And so that's really good on those defensive coaches for UTEP saying, look, just go out here and do this. And they did it. And that's so big. But boy, howdy, those UTEP Miners just might stink and do it. And I'm telling you right now, we're scheduling a watch party for that bowl game. Really, really happy for them. And we're hoping that people are starting to take notice and we can get some people out there for the Sun Bowl. But I mean, that matchup right there, they could be 5-1 heading into that, or they could be 5 wins heading into that Rice game. And then if they can do that.
Yeah, they got Southern Miss next week, which I think we should have them as a win, and then they've got that Rice game, which would be that last game for them to go bowling, and
that would be so awesome, man.
I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but this looks like a team that could potentially beat UNT as well and
really
come off in a 7-win season.
And man, talk about yin and yang. Congratulations to Coach Dana Dimmel and those UTEP Miners out there on that big win. What is next, Malpal?
It is. Which undefeated team are you buying? Baylor or Oklahoma State? This game was...
There is one simple fact to this game. You cannot have 3 interceptions come into your hands from the opposing quarterback and lose nothing with them. There is no excuse. And that doesn't end up on Baylor's defense. I mean, the question for us, was it's always been Baylor's offense, and it's like this game really showed exactly what those issues were. And the issue with it is they could not get anything going offensively. And how frustrating is that for a defense to sit there and go, we are literally taking the ball from Spencer Rattler and handing it to you, and nothing. I mean, just nothing.
Yeah, you can't go into this game as the 3rd-ranked rushing team in the nation and then do what you did. Like you said, Spencer Sanders threw 3 picks. They didn't do anything with it, and they still lost. I mean, there's no excuse for that.
No,
there's
and
really
the
no
ground
excuse.
game too. I mean, having 29 carries for 52 yards from their running back is just. What are you supposed to do with that? You don't have this star-studded quarterback that can just take it and convert on those. You have to be able to get that running game going, and they just haven't been able to do that. And that's going to be a big issue heading forward in Big 12 play if they cannot find a way to convert on turnovers, because they're not exactly the caliber of a team that can just go out and single-handedly beat people. You have to capitalize on opportunities, and they just weren't able to do that. A very frustrating loss there for Baylor.
And I think going into this game, too, people thought this was going to be a good matchup just because they're both similar, both very defense-heavy teams, and they just neither one really looked. I mean, and it's like Baylor's defense could have stopped their offense. Their OSU's offense did not look very good at all, so they had every opportunity to stop them, just couldn't, and didn't make it happen.
All right, what's next?
Coming up next, we have, is there suddenly reason for concern about Rice's defense? And I don't know. I think they looked a little bit better than they did.
How about that? I mean, hoot, 24-19 win over Southern Miss. And this is, again, kind of going back to the same thing that we talked about with the UTEP game, is the fact that Southern Miss is also absolutely at the bottom of Conference USA. I mean, this is a team that is just... There's a lot more issues, I think, than just on the field play with all the coaching changes that they've had. Just haven't been able to have any sort of consistency. They are bad, real bad. Yeah. But this is the type of game. There is not a whole lot of games throughout the season where Rice goes in as a favored opponent. And it's not one of those like, oh, they could pull out the win. It's, oh, they should pull out the win. And the big overarching picture here, I'm not saying that this was a super pretty win. I'm not saying that there isn't still a little bit room of concern for that Rice's defense, but on the bright side of it, 2 wins in a row for Rice. You don't see that very often, and it's like, I think that they've really hit gold in kind of almost figuring out a quarterback. We've talked about that with UNT before. We've talked about it with Rice. There was no consistency. No. Snip, snap. And it's like, I know that there were some injuries there, but Jake Constantine, 16 for 192, 2 touchdowns. And the big story, defense picked off 4 passes. So if there was room for concern, they had a hot game.
Right. And I was going to say, too, when you have that concern on offense, that's a time where your defense really needs to step up. And that's exactly what they did. Like you said, they had 4 picks in that game, and it's a lot better than they've played all season. So I think that definitely this defense is trending upwards. Now, do I think they're going to stop a team like UTSA? I don't think so.
Yeah, you got a big idle week ahead of them for Mike Bluegrim and company right there.
Right.
What's next, Malpal?
Up next, speaking of UTSA, how about this game?
Yeah.
How about this game?
Yeah, the question there was make a play on the line. UTSA was favored by 21. Tepper specifically said that was too rich for him. I completely agree. And obviously that was the correct answer. A 24-17 win over UNLV.
I have my own opinion on this game.
Go for it, as I'm interested to hear what you say.
Okay. The fact is, they're coming off a big win against Memphis last week. They're probably tired, Yeah. They're coming into this game playing a UNLV team that's what they were 0-4, 0-5 going into this game. UTSA knows that. They're not going to go out in this game and give it their all. Because next week, they've got to play Western Kentucky.
Yeah, and that's a night game at the top of the hill, which is, in Conference USA speak, incredibly difficult regardless of what kind of year. And Western Kentucky is cooking with that Houston Baptist offense, man.
We can talk about that another time. They almost cooked us this weekend.
But
yeah, like I was saying, I don't remember what I was going to say, but...
Okay. Well, that's
I don't even remember what I was going to say.
I think UNLV... Go ahead.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
I think UNLV had a good game plan. They went in there. They had a handle on Sincere McCormick, and that's something that you have to do, and that's something that Sincere McCormick, especially heading into conference play, is going to have to keep back there in his memory banks, is the fact that offensive line is going to have a lot of work cut out for them to open holes for him, because every single person is game planning for them. But Frank Harris did what he needed to do. I think the offensive line needs to be a tad bit better. But like you said, a big physical contest against Memphis last week. They haven't had their bye week. It's kind of one of those things where it's like, okay, make it through this, get to that bye week, and then move on from there. But overall, you win your clunkers. Good on you, UTSA, and you're heading into Conference USA play now with a big chip on your shoulder, ready to continue the success.
I remember what I was going to say now. I was going to say, I think this game was a little bit closer than UTSA wanted it to be. I mean, the score was 17-10, almost heading into the fourth quarter. With 3 minutes left, UTSA ended up scoring, but I think this game was a lot closer than they had hoped for. But then again, I'm just saying, this is not a game that they were going to go all out for. They were just trying to get through this week. They're already starting in their minds, I think, preparing for next week as well. So I think this was just kind of one of those weeks where they're going to use it as a booster, fix some stuff that maybe they had not been doing well against the Memphis game. But yeah, good one for UTSA. They're going to need it heading into this week for sure.
Absolutely. What do we have up next?
Up next, we have... This is a good one. Do you think the SMU pre-planned the planting of the flag after they beat TCU?
And look, 41-17 over USF. Now, I'm not here to tell you that USF is a good team. They're not. No. They have fallen significantly. Not a good team there. But, they went out there and they beat a team that they were much better than in emphatic fashion. And it's kind of one of those things, it was close heading into the fourth. It really was. And then they got those 2 points, or the 2 touchdowns, go up 14, kind of seal the deal there. So I think the score looks a little bit better than what it could have been. And you look at this too, Tanner Mordecai, 29 for 301, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception. He did what he needed to do. The issue I'm seeing here is we need running backs back. Ulysses Bentley being out is dicey. That needs to come back. And look, you win against La Tech in a Hail Mary, and then you get a good handy win over TCU, and then it's kind of like they almost kind of pulled this one out in the fourth quarter. They're going, and you take wins where you can get them, but they're going to have that rushing attack really come back. You need Ulysses Bentley healthy if you're going to continue on in AAC play.
And I think we should expect to see them coming back very soon. I think that Craven wrote an article, I haven't had the chance to read it, but saying that, they're coming back, they're rushing. Their ground game is going to come back very soon, and like you said, which they'll very desperately need heading into conference play.
What's up
Or
next?
not conference play, excuse me. Yeah, conference play. I was right. I was not ready for this. I'm sorry. Okay. Next question we have. How does Tech's offense change with
Henry
Colombi at quarterback? My goodness.
Goodness gracious, Red Raiders. You cut it too close.
Yeah.
23-20. They pull out the win
What a
at
win,
West
though.
by God, Virginia. And here's the thing. Going to West by God, Virginia, never an easy task. And that's just one of those things. It's a long road trip for all the Big 12 teams. It's never a guaranteed win. It gets really loud there. They really had them going. But Tech did have a ton of injuries at this one, and I think Henry Colombi did exactly what he needed to do. You know, Tyler Shuck obviously out with a broken collarbone, probably not going to be back this season. If he is, it's going to be real late, but I just don't see that happening. But it's kind of like they figured out what they need to do. Now, the thing about it was they went up really early, that 17-0, and then let them creep back, and you can argue whether or not that has more to say about the Tech defense than it does against with the offense. But overall, I think when you add in this quarterback who wasn't the designated starter at the beginning of the year, and you say, all right, even when that defense kind of laid down there for a bit and they were able to creep back up, you had your guy and they trusted him to get them into field goal range to win this game, which they did. And that trust, when you have a Matt Wells program that hasn't been too hot, a quarterback that they didn't want to start the year off, I think that says a lot about where this Tech team feels about having Columbia out there at the helm.
It's funny. I was reading a couple of articles from last year, and a lot of people were saying Henry Colombi is just not a Big 12 caliber quarterback. But I think this weekend he proved that he could hang with the big dogs. He threw for 266 yards, completed 68% of his passes. Now, he didn't throw a single touchdown pass. They were able to get it close enough to where Sir Roderick Thompson could rush it in for 2 touchdowns. But I think he can hang, and I think that's really good news for this Tech offense. I think the day after the game, Matt Wells was probably like, thank you for winning this game, because he was certainly on the hot seat before this game. He really needed to win this game, you know, and I still think that's in question. I think Matt Wells is still, you know, could still be on the hot seat, of course, but I think this win takes the spotlight off of him a little bit, and he really needed that win.
Absolutely. All right, what's next?
Up next, we have, is TCU's defense actually bad or just off to a poor start?
Okay, one, I think that the TCU defense is it's just hot or cold. It's hard to tell. I can't get a read on it. But the issue here, let's completely ditch this question and go to the issue here. Gary Patterson, why are you not giving the ball to Zach Evans?
Yeah, 15 carries in this game.
What are you doing?
Yeah, you've got a dude that should have gone to Alabama or Georgia, and he chooses TCU, and you're giving this dude 15 carries in a game while Bijan Robinson, same exact talent level as him, is getting over 30 carries. Gary Patterson, what's your game plan, man?
What is your game plan? I don't understand why. And TCU has always been a defensive-minded team. We know that. They'll figure it out. He'll either get them going or it's just going to be a bad TCU year. I just don't understand when you have a quarterback like Max Duggan, who is not exceptional. He's fine. He does what he needs to do. You have this NFL caliber guy right here, and you're barely giving him the ball. I don't understand the want for this balanced attack when you don't have the personnel there for it to be a balanced attack, but you have this clear shining trophy right in front of you and you're not using it. I can't understand it. I don't understand it. I don't know if he's set in his old ways, if what it is, but the fact that TCU is not giving the ball to Zach Evans more, there's the actual issue with the TCU team. On the other side of this, obviously they played Texas.
You can't stop Bijan Robinson. I'm just going to say it. Like,
what a guy. I mean,
dude had 4 touchdowns in this game? You can't stop him.
He's a grown man.
You're not going to stop him. Yeah, he's a grown man.
He's a grown man. He got the job done when they needed him to. Good on you, Texas. You know, another win there for Sark, and Sark is comfortable calling those plays, and he feels good in a running back that everyone questioned why Tom Herman didn't. So he's doing the job that he needs to. So good on you, Texas. TCU has got to get the ball to Zach Evans or I'm going to lose my mind.
Yeah.
What's next, Malpal?
I think this is our last question. Can Houston be an AAC contender if the passing offense is just okay? And I think this question was very well answered this week.
Yeah, 45-10 win over Tulsa. Good job, Houston. You went out there and they absolutely got the job done. Clayton Tune was good, 17 for 24, 241 yards, 2 TDs, a pick. I mean, QBR of 86, and it's like, okay, you know, he you don't have to ask him to throw for 300 yards a game. Just go out there. I think Alton McCaskill is fantastic at running back.
This dude was the story of this game, and this should give Houston fans a lot of hope. This dude's a freshman. 3 touchdowns in the first half. Yeah. When you get him going, who needs a decent passing game when you've got this dude who can he's pretty much a Bijan Robinson who can run that whole run game, you know?
Yeah, no, I think that they can be okay with an okay passing game. I think 241 yards from Clayton Tune in the passing game definitely helps and will solidify wins like this and get them those style points that they need. I think they can survive with it. But no, I think Houston did well. And before we move on real fast, there was one, I think I accidentally skipped it over on the thing, but I don't want to spend a lot of time talking about this game. A&M.
Oh, that's right.
Will the A&M offense wake up against a mediocre Mississippi State defense? 26-22, terrible, awful, but O-line has got to figure out what they're doing.
Right.
The O-line there.
It was bad.
Zach Calzada, we talk a lot about how bad of a quarterback he is. Here's a newsflash. I don't think he has enough time to try and get anything done because that offensive line is playing so bad. The defense, 0 sacks, 0 pressure. They kind of let this Mississippi State offense that hadn't really been doing much sit there and open wide up on them. And it's just, man, they've got a lot of stuff to figure out, and we can end this conversation there. But the main thing is that offensive line. I don't care if Haynes King is out. I don't care if Zach Calzada is in. I don't care if Zach Calzada is the worst quarterback in the world. He has to have more time to throw or he's not going to be able to do anything.
Right. It's also a problem for the run game, too. You've got a good running back in Isaiah Spiller. We talked about him at the beginning of the season. He should be up there for one of the best running backs almost in the nation. He only had 16 carries, 100 yards, but a lot of that obviously has to do with the offensive line. He can't create holes for him.
Fire.
Right. So really, it comes down, of course, like you said, Calzada can't throw, right? He can't throw under pressure. But all comes down to that offensive line. That's their problem. They can get that figured out, give Zach Calzada more time than he's getting. They should be better than what they're producing.
I completely agree. So there you go. There is reviewing Week 5 college football burning questions. Again, we will do that segment again on Thursday with a new round of questions heading into Week 6. Thanks so much for watching that video. If you would like more and to be notified when they come out, go ahead and click that subscribe button right down there. You can also watch Texas Football Today every day live at noon on TexasFootball.com, Facebook, Twitch, and right here on YouTube. For more of the best coverage of Texas football in the Lone Star State, go to TexasFootball.com/subscribe.